Now the Whitley crew, they call this a caravan on water. We think it's an apartment on water, a V8 powered apartment capable of 35 knots. Now the captain's crew has had some seriously deadly rigs in the driveway. We've had Coodercraft Boss, we've had Veach 23s and Veach 27s, but it just doesn't get the Mrs. World rocking. The kids, yeah, they're moderately interested. No, the boat that really rocks their world is a Whitley. Pin drop. I'm not shitting you. I don't know what it is. It's just, it could be the sink, the fridge, the upholstery, the overnight vibes happening. It just does it for them. Now the new Western Australian dealership has just taken delivery of a factory fresh outboard powered CR 2600 OB. Now the CR stands for cruiser and the OB, that stands for outboard. So along for the ride is John Davies in his now famous 21-foot pacemaker as a camera boat. His crew are all rubbered up and ready for a cray dive, while the gas bottle in the Whitley is all primed, ready for a fresh seafood cook-up. The CR 2600 is the largest outboard powered boat that Whitley build. It's 8.6 metres long with a 2.49 beam and weighing in at less than 3.5 tonne on the trailer. Now that's a pretty sweet set of numbers if you want to go touring in your boat, but you also don't want to attract the attention of Mr. Plod. This 250 horsepower V8 Merc, it's purring along at idle before effortlessly popping the big Whitley up on the plain. Outside the Swan River and in the lee of a stiff offshore breeze, we're doing a respectable 36 knots, count them, 36 knots along the coastline. But unfortunately, John's 50-knot sled is now just a blip on the horizon. He's left us for dead. Now the big girl, she does sway around a little bit, but you've got to remember this is a cruiser doing 36 knots. If you wanted something a little bit more offshore capable, you'd definitely be considering the SL range, which is the Sea Legend range. Now the Merc, she's fed by a 210 litre fuel tank, which is, it's a little on the light side, but where the inboard normally sits, there's this great big cavernous space. Now this space could be used for extra fuel, beer, life rafts, surfboards and the like. Now John absolutely caned us in the high speed stakes. He's 50 knots and gone. But when it came time to settling down, having a crayfish cook up, necking a bottle of champagne, it wasn't going to happen on the pacemaker, it was going to happen on the Whitley. I think even cameraman Nick got stuck into a bit of champagne, courtesy of the Whitley family, thank you. There's probably an owner just rifling through the side pockets trying to find their complimentary bottle of champagne. Thank you. Now, there's a few things that make the Whitley such a great entertainer. It's this giant marlin board which is separating the engine from the transom. This expansive platform makes a great little entertainment area in its own right. You know, on this little marlin board, I could imagine just popping up the deck chairs, putting the cricket on, watching the kids play or having a fish. They've really made good use of this outside space. Now, the other appeal of the Whitley, as John's girlfriend slash fiance slash wife, we're not sure, finds out, is that it has an enclosed head. So she can duck away from leering eyes and disrobe and get dressed in the Whitley. Can't do that in John's boat. Now this little fold down step at the transom that beckons the crew from the marlin board to step into the saloon area. The saloon is pretty cool. It wraps around a table that can neatly fit 4 or can be folded down to convert to a double bed. A chaise style lounge faces aft. It's not the most comfortable. It could be with a bit of it's a bit of a funny shape, but some sort of cushions and towels, and you can definitely make it a sleepable arrangement. Now, if the weather does turn bad or you're in a colder climate, it does have a full set of clears to wrap you in. You just have to remember Jack when you're travelling to take them down. So moving forward from the saloon, welcome to the elevated helm station. Now, the view of the bowsprit is somewhat obstructed by the long sweeping nose on the Whitley, but just a flick of the sunroof, we can pop our head up and see what's going on. Personally, we'd like a camera to see what's happening low and in front of us, especially as it's a cruising model and you can expect to be sort of meandering your way through kayaks and jetties and narrow waterways. But once at anchor, the Whitley certainly comes into her own. There's probably no boat better for entertaining, or at least not a trailer boat anyway, especially when you slide back the generous sunroof and open up that cabin. Now, unfortunately, these helm seats, they don't spin around 180 or 360 all the way around, but thankfully there's enough room in this saloon area to fit everyone pretty comfortably. So that pronounced damn sexy bow shrouds a generous sized cabin with 6-foot headroom and a large double berth that converts to a second dinette. To port is a galley with nice moulded finishes, a sink, a 12-volt fridge and an induction cooker, complemented with ample storage. To starboard is the head, where you can find Amanda, with a shower, sink and toilet. In terms of accommodation, Whitley is claiming 8 people. I'd be going with like a family of 4, maybe 5 tops, or maybe 2 couples. I think that'd be about right. So what do we love about this boat? It's a bit of a family favourite. It's a great touring boat. It's Australian made by the Whitley family. It has those alfresco vibes, particularly with the sunroof open. It's a 36 knot cruiser, god damn it. You know, look out all you kayakers and waterborne speed humps. The other thing we love about these Whitleys, it's got this really nice, comfortable, durable fabric and upholstery that doesn't burn your ass off in the sun. We really love that. On the flip side, it's clearly not an offshore machine. You definitely want a sea legend for heading out wide. Now, as we discovered, the icebox under the helm seat really doesn't last that long at all. Thankfully, the crew was quite thirsty. Apparently the Whitley guy said you can turn that actually into a refrigeration unit. That would be ideal. 210 litres is nowhere near enough, but thankfully you've got this big lazarette, so if you were on tour, you could stock that with jerry cans. It's not really a boat that you can leave on the beach either. It really does need a tender or a little inflatable to get to shore. Again, that's where the lazarette comes in, and the helm seats don't swivel around for socialising as well. Now the CR 2600 OB is a lot of boat, but it costs a lot of money too, at a freckle over $315,000, which is, Jesus Christ, I remember you could buy an apartment for $315,000. But this apartment will take you anywhere. Now, some of you are probably thinking for that money, you could buy a tow rig and a caravan, but none of them fucking float, and this is the Captain after all. So would we own one? Well, we don't have $315,000 unless we sold every boat and child that we owned. But look, if we took a gap year, extracted the kids from school, and said, let's go touring, yeah, I think this boat would be amazing. Some of you might be wondering where Jack is. Well, he's not allowed to do Whitleys anymore. You see, ever since we did that shoot, how to pick up chicks on a boat, which by the way, some of you thought was a massive stitch up, that was 100% legit. And he did end up hooking up with not one of those girls, but 2 of those girls. So no, Jack's not allowed to go and play on Whitleys anymore now that he's engaged.